This week's episode of Hastly Kayfabed Recap is brought to you by the newest
television. A new car!
And you just killed the joke. I will. I was actually about to say something about CNN's credibility as a news source, but anyway, welcome to the
show. See, my bit was funnier.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
And there goes the car being driven away somewhere.
Bye. Elizabeth.
Sorry, Will, you lost your car.
Drive away the soccer mom car that I bought.
You live in California. If you lived in the wrong parts of California, you wouldn't have to worry about your car being gone. You have to worry about your car being part of a drugs thing.
Agreed.
Yeah. The thing is, why don't you tell them what car you got, just to let you know.
Well, I got a 2017 Prius V, which means AJ Styles will like the car because it's a soccer mom car.
You fucking faggot. Not a fucking faggot car.
Actually, Will Girl beat you too. She already said that.
It's a woman's car.
It gets even better. It's a Blizzard Pearl color, so it's a white ass car.
So what you're basically saying, it's kind of like the episode of The Simpsons where Homer bought the Canyonero.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Except the real man
didn't buy it the Canyonero.
It's like, see, it doesn't even have a cigarette. Lenny looks at him. It doesn't even have a cigarette lighter. That's a lipstick holder.
Lipstick holder.
Will was probably the same type of person that carries his purse to Whole Foods Market.
I hate Whole Foods Market.
Kale.
Well, here's the thing, though. Whole Foods.
You have to worry about Starbucks.
You know what's the best way to cook kale?
You don't have to worry about Whole Foods anymore because Amazon bought them.
You know what's the best way to cook kale?
With a flamethrower?
If you use coconut oil, it makes it a lot easier. No, if you use coconut oil, it makes it a lot easier to scrape into the garbage and make yourself a steak.
I still prefer the flamethrower. Fire purifies all.
Remember, kids, Hulk Hogan didn't body slam Andre the Giant for you to eat a salad.
Will has officially entered the same territory as my half-brother. A fucking faggot territory. That's it.
I don't know. I mean, is he at least fucking?
I don't even think he knows what to do with it.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Welcome to the reason we're going to be thrown off. The show's going to be thrown off of Twitch. Anyway,
and by the way,
that's another YouTube yet.
That's another thing I need to say. Y'all bitches, y'all suck. You sit there say you don't eat meat, yet you'll suck dick.
Well, technically, that's not eating.
That's food for thought.
Send all your hate mail to John.
You won't. No. I'm not gonna let this one go. Okay. You can say that about vegetarians. You can say that about that. How dare you make a pun? Food for thought. What the fuck?
You won't eat steak, but yeah, you'll put a dick in your mouth.
Food for thought. Fuck you.
I am so glad my Twitch channel gets so little viewers. I'm pretty sure my comment section will be filled with
the night's not over yet.
There you go.
Aren't you glad we're not doing it on your channel when people actually watch it, Yellow?
You mean the 100 people that actually showed up from Wrestle Circus? Yes, those guys are awesome. Thank you, guys.
I would put it on my channel. I got 2,000 subscribers.
On Twitch?
No, on YouTube.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyway, let's get to the bounty that is wrestling.
And by the way, guys, I gotta make a quick plug. That's on Twitch. Mystery Science Theater 3000. Instead of listening to this garbage for 3 hours, you could just do something better with your time.
Well, he's not wrong.
No, he's not. But the thing is, John, you have a big thing to talk about today.
I got a few things to talk about today.
Well, yeah, you have your investigative reporting since we thought nothing was going to happen this week. God, were we wrong?
Oh,
Both in
trust me.
So let's get to the latest thing and work our way backwards.
Yeah.
I played the song earlier. I don't know if you guys remember this, but let me see if I could get just a small clip. Well, yeah, that's just making fun of Jeff Jarrett because Global Force Wrestling is now part of TNA, officially lock, stock, and barrel.
Well, it's not a part of, it's been acquired.
It's acquired by,
which means
by
GFW no longer
Sports,
exists.
So their
And what have I said before?
So their entire library of one television taping is now
Yes.
by freaking Impact.
Yes.
And what
Jeff
have I
Jarrett
said?
still doesn't have his company back.
And what have I been saying for years, though? Global Force Wrestling just seemed to me like a backup plan just in case TNA went under or, whatever. But now that they don't need that backup plan no more, notice how quickly it was absorbed, quote unquote, by Impact Wrestling. And just so happens on the weekend of Shitiversary, where they're going to merge the belts. Yeah, there's nothing fishy about that at all. No, not at all.
So explain Global Force Gold. Remember that scam?
That's a pyramid scheme, and that's something that I kind of don't know anything about.
I think you just explained it. It's a pyramid
you just
scheme.
explained it.
Let
me try.
And that's like on the chain you are, the more you're actually guaranteed to get money, but the lower on the chain you are, the less likely you're supposed to get money, or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's what a pyramid scheme is.
Oh, so what TNA is like now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which probably explains why they explored Global Force. Global Force was just a test run.
I mean, that's what I always say. That's what I always say about Wrestle Circus. At least when you donate your money to Wrestle Circus, because there's a tip jar there, which people were pissed off at. I'm all for it. You know why? Because all that money will actually stick to the ceiling, meaning it will actually go to the boys and girls that actually wrestled.
What else? Well, we have one.
That joke fell flat.
Yeah,
I'll give him
much.
$1. I'll give him 50 cents.
They'll take it.
What else happened? Well, we have a rumor to debunk. There was a rumor that Paige and Del Rio broke up, but Paige confirmed it's false.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And in other words, who gives a shit?
Yes.
Basically, Del Rio's still in the middle of his midlife crisis, and who would give up a hot piece of ass like Paige like that? Come on.
True. I mean, if Paige showed up to any of our front door, well, okay, anyone but Reed, but he actually has a girlfriend. So assuming, assuming you're loyal, if Paige
that
showed
would
up
be for a different reason. Reed likes the other white mate.
If Paige showed up to any of our front doors, buck naked, you're not thinking. Anyway,
I wouldn't tell my girlfriend if I had one.
I'd make her take a Lysol bath.
and the difference between me and Alberto is I can actually get it up without help. I don't need to take a blue pill for my winky to go up.
We have to try to set up something to after
there's something about a person that decides to call their penis a winky.
By the way, we need to try to set up some audio cue whenever we make a joke about Alberto's penis that we just suddenly play his theme music from Titan.
I don't have an audio cue, but I do have my cell phone, which is essentially our.
There's something I'm tossing out there. You know, like, at least I don't got to take a little blue pill. And there we go.
Oh boy!
We'll work on getting a sound.
We'll work on getting sound. A sound.
Or since he's Mexican, you could just play that stupid car horn.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I prefer his theme. I think his theme rubs it in even more.
Oh God! What else? I'm trying to remember. I know Vince Russo responded a couple of days ago to.
Oh no! There's something else we have to discuss.
Of course.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
Dead air.
Apparently.
Yeah. Dead air.
At least they're not like radio.
I think John dropped dead.
Apparently, he's trying to get ready, like Alberto Del Rio gets ready for Paige.
God damn it! I didn't have the song ready yet.
Oh no!
Wow!
There you are.
Thanks for dropping the call.
I did it.
Worried about a Mexican song. So anyway, like I was saying.
Anyway,
like I was saying before I was cut off. We have a varied crew here. We have we have a straight white male. We have a Hispanic, a black guy, and 2 homosexuals.
Yes.
So I need to bring this question up.
Okay.
How in the hell does Hulk Hogan get fired for using certain language in the privacy of his own home?
Oh no, you're going to go into this.
I was saving that for Raw. I was saving that for when we got to actually Raw.
But yet, a fucking homosexual black person can say the word nigger twice on national television, and it's perfectly fine.
Oh, it wasn't perfectly fine.
It wasn't perfectly fine.
It wasn't perfectly fine. The backstage freaked the frick out. That's why I think they still.
Okay, but there was no like negative coverage in papers and in media. You didn't see it show.
Are you kidding me? ESPN was talking about half the day.
Yeah,
ESPN is not news. ESPN is like CNN. They're not news.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about like fucking like your local news.
Because your local news isn't going to care about local news, and local newspapers isn't going to care about fucking wrestling.
But
they cared when Hulk Hogan said the word nigger on that audio tape.
Well, Hulk Hogan is larger than life. He is life. He is a megastar.
What happened was a 15-year-old decided to use his language that he grew up with.
So I'm Italian. I'm Italian. I grew up with the N-word in my house. Why can't I use it whenever I want to?
Because you're not 15 years old and you don't have a loudmouth for a dad.
And you don't have Ice Cube explaining to you why you can't use it. Anyway.
By the way, that's hilarious that Ice Cube basically said, every time somebody uses the N-word, it stabs me. Good. Nigger, 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 nigger.
Oh, boy. But no, WWE freaked out. ESPN talked about it
soon.
This did hit the fan.
Although the one positive thing about all this is that Kevin Dunn went nuts backstage, and I would have paid any amount of money to see that.
I know, right?
The one thing I really want to mention, though, did you guys see what Curtis Axel said about it?
No.
Oh yeah, that little part where. Well, you mentioned it because you probably have a better memory than I do.
He's like, what is this piece of shit doing on my television? He goes, LeVar Bell being involved, that segment was a smack in the face of every person who's ever busted their ass to get on television and make it in the wrestling business.
I saw that.
Little shit son. He was like, my father and grandfather busted their asses to get this business recognized. And for us to be seen as jokes by associating with this idiot is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And right now I have Raw playing, and I'm just trying to get to the point because I did remember hearing that they actually did say that that idiot son of his picked up a live mic, and I'm going, oh, he had to pick up a live mic. Why?
She did.
Well, that whole segment was going down in flames. Why do you think they sent out Ambrose?
They sent out Ambrose to try and save the segment out, and that was about
half second too late, unfortunately.
Well, there were it was too late the moment the bit started.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to see the bit, and yeah.
I would have personally enjoyed the segment more if they would have sent out the Strowman and had him fucking take care of all of it.
Oh, jeez, it would have been great if the Strowman came out and just sat on LeVar's face.
And by the way, I need to also add...
And that would prevent him from talking for about, 10 minutes.
I also need to add that we basically have a new video file to show for every time one of these marks decides to enter the ring. We could just play the LeVar Ball coming down the entrance ramp and getting into the ring.
That's literally how I imagine every mark entering the wrestling ring. You know what? I'm going to disagree with that because I think marks have a better reason to enter that ring than fucking LeVar Ball.
Well, that's
true. I think
the music will apply. I'll give you the music, but I think marks have a better reason to get in that ring than fucking LeVar Ball and his entire fucking family.
Plus, also, stepping into a real ring is different than stepping between garden hoses.
But I honestly hope this, that not only is he barred from WWE, I hope that family's not only barred from WWE, I hope they're barred from USA. I hope they're barred from anything involving NBC. And I hope they're just barred from television overall. I don't care necessarily about. I don't necessarily care so much about who's the guy that got Lonzo getting drafted to the Lakers, which I hope they lose anyway. But that's basketball. That's one thing. But involving major television, anything involving that, any promotion, they're now a danger to the FCC. I hope they get banned.
Who's real girl? Look up LeVar Ball and just watch him.
Oh no. You want to know who LeVar Ball is? Single fan that actually listens to the show.
We actually have 2 listening right now.
Double fan.
Fucking LeVar Ball. The best way to describe the best way to describe LeVar Ball, for those that don't know, and seriously with not using any foul language at all. LeVar Ball is pretty much the father you see at Little League games that would give a tongue lashing to his son if he screwed up.
What did
He's the one picking fights with the coaches and the other parents, saying that the only reason the team lost was because of all the other players except for his kid.
He's essentially the world's worst soccer mom, except his boy is actually an NBA player.
But you know what's sad? You know what's sad? His asshole father's attitude is going to ruin this kid's career.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I feel bad for Lonzo because because his father is hyped up to the moon. Huh?
Did you see the look on his face when he got drafted?
No.
His father was going on and on. That kid looked like he wanted to sink into his fucking shirt and hide.
I saw the boy's face when his father and his brother were acting a fool. Like, oh my god, I have to play basketball in front of these people. Shut the fuck up.
Lonzo, I don't necessarily care about. I think he's going to act like a professional. I think he wants to get away from his dad and his family and all that. Lamar and Melonhead. Melonhead.
Yes, Melonhead's a much more appropriate name.
Need a Big Show overhand chop. Each in the face.
By the way, I got a piece of advice for Lonzo Ball.
What's that?
I know that motherfucker ain't gonna listen to the show, but whatever. If you keep listening to that fucking nigger father of yours, do you know where you're gonna end up in 10 years? Look up Thora Birch. You're gonna end up just like her. She listened to her dad. She let her dad control her life. Where's her career? Exactly. I hear dead silent, which is exactly the answer I'm looking for.
Quit your belly aching, Melonhead. Oh, Reese, you have to watch that segment. And like I said, you see it for a half second, but you have that look that LeVar Ball had that smiley face like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. And the worst part I'm thinking is that because of course, what's his name had his 5 seconds of segue to Voldemort. And I'm thinking, the sad thing is, if Vince Russo was on the booking team, he would have actually booked LeVar Ball versus The Miz for the IC Championship.
And have LeVar win.
Over.
Say again?
LeVar would go over.
LeVar Ball would have went over.
Exactly.
Yep.
That would have been a triple threat. Oh boy! Well, we just drifted right into Monday Night Raw. Any other actual news we're talking about?
Yeah, there actually is a piece of news.
Apparently, there's a pay-per-view Sunday.
Say again?
Apparently, there's a pay-per-view Sunday. Who knew?
I thought that was next Sunday.
Yeah, it's next Sunday.
That Bush League shithole in Orlando has a pay-per-view.
Oh, Slammiversary.
Oh yeah, Shittiversary 15 or whatever.
Yeah, 15.
What's the main event? Lashley versus who cares?
Midlife Crisis versus Blown Potential. That's the main event.
Oh yeah, Del Rio.
Trying to figure out what that show is on Sunday. Hold on a second.
Yeah, let's go see what is on for Slammiversary, and
not that any of us are really going to care, even though maybe one or two of us might watch it.
For people who actually listen to this, I put on something much more entertaining on Sunday on this very Twitch channel. It'll be called my Place Play My number 9. You can watch that to get more entertainment.
Okay, here. I got the link to the wiki here. And here's what's going on. We are going to have 3 unification matches.
Oh, I know what's on Sunday.
Anything else?
I don't know what. I'm guessing this is the show you're talking about. It's called Young Wives Ruined by Massive Girth.
The fuck is that?
What the fuck are you talking?
See what it's like to bang the hottest pros in the world as they beg for your big, thick dick. Is that the pay-per-view you're talking about on Sunday?
It's Slammiversary!
I have to take notice.
Technically, it is a pay-per-view.
Technically, you are supposed to pay to watch it, though no one will.
It's on Hustler Channel 1005.
So, here are the actual matches before while John slowly gets us banned from every... While I slowly start making our Vimeo account, because that probably is going to be the only place this show is going to be allowed to be aired. Okay.
Or daily video.
Yeah, pretty much.
Daily motion.
Tag team title match. LAX will without Hernandez versus
without Hernandez or Homicide.
Oh, that's right. The actual members of LAX people give a fuck about. Versus Drago and whatever. Versus.
I'll read it. Drago and El Hijo de Fantasma, spelled sort of correctly, versus Naomichi Marufuji and Taiji Ishimori versus Laredo Kid and Garza Jr. Hector Garza had a kid?
Apparently.
I guess.
Garza was actually a good wrestler. It's too bad he died.
Garza was a hell of a nice guy, too. He's fucking...
Yeah, Jarrett fucked him over so bad. He fucked him over so bad.
Grandson of Mario Segura.
So that's for the tag team.
He is the nephew of Hector Garza.
Well, Hector Garza was one of the nicest people. One of the nicest fucking guys I ever came across in the business. I literally got to meet him right at the end of his TNA run. He was working up here. He was still taking, indie dates here in the States since he was here already. And he worked a couple Jersey All-Pro shows. That's where I got to meet him at.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, Hector was a hell of a wrestler. He was so good at what he did. And for a large guy, I mean, he could move. That man could move. I still say Jarrett to this day. Jeff Jarrett fucked him over bad.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's also MLB Baseball on ESPN.
Yeah.
Washington Nationals against the St. Louis Cardinals.
Hey, I fall asleep watching baseball. That's not going to work for me.
Well, it's better watching baseball than Sanjay Dutt versus that asshole low key.
If you're in the New York area on MSG, there's NBA Summer League basketball with the Knicks versus the Pistons.
So I get to watch my local team get their ass kicked.
No. I have to say something. You insulted a good friend of mine, even though Brandon is an asshole. You're telling the truth. It's still not nice.
Okay. All right.
Let me tell you something. Brandon is an asshole.
Okay.
But it's still not nice. I have to at least defend him just in case he hears this and he's like, bro, you didn't say nothing.
There
So what you're saying is you are defending him, but I'm not wrong.
I'm defending him, but I'm not defending him. Let's see.
Understood.
Also on the Food Network, there's Guys Grocery Games that's brand new.
But if you don't want to watch that, you can watch the Full Metal Mayhem match of Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards versus Davey Richards and Angelina Love. Are they trying anymore?
Oh, look. If you tune into the faggot channel, logo, you get a bunch of reruns of Three's Company.
Hey, I'd rather watch
Which
that.
was originally a show about homosexuals.
But wait, but it was two girls.
Well, remember, John Ritter's character was supposed to be gay.
He pretended to be gay so he can live with them.
Stay with them, yeah. See, you learned stuff on this show. It's not just a bunch of dick jokes and gay bashing.
It's the majority of it.
Although it's mostly from two individuals. Anyway,
and apparently there's a channel on Fios called Willow, not to be confused with the Jeff Hardy character
or the movie.
And it's called Cricket Highlights, and apparently it's a bunch of households that don't have their dishes done because it's the ICC Women's World Cup.
God.
Let's get to the rest of these matches. D'Angelo Williams and Moose versus Chris Adonis, better known as Chris Masters, and Eli Drake.
And Moose is awesome. I finally got to see Moose on another thing. I like Moose. I really do.
What are you about to say, Lou?
I was about to say, Chris Adonis, don't call me Chris Masters.
That's just... Yeah. Go ahead.
Women's unification match, Rosemary versus Sienna.
I have no idea what?
In all seriousness, Rosemary and Sienna should be a really good match.
True.
A show that's going to blow so much that I would rather watch Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Are you seriously going through the TV guide now?
Yes,
yes, I am.
Strap match.
Because I want our listeners to know that there's other options, including suicide, to blow your head, to blow your brains out.
Will you stop?
Stop.
Ethan Carter III versus James Storm in a strap match.
Why are these two in a shitty match like this?
Because
so much better than that.
Hey, we're about to talk about another shitty match that WWE dug out the grave in a few minutes, but...
Oh, well, with all due respect, it's a lot better than two black guys facing each other in a strap match sponsored by KFC.
Good point. Oh man!
Also, for you Spanish-speaking folk out there, on Fox Deportes is Ricky Hatton versus Manny Pacquiao.
So, in other words, good fight.
So, in the Why Does This Exist match, Jerry Borash and Joseph Park, aka Abyss, versus Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner.
The Triple H and Stephanie McMahon hater, who I think John would actually get along with Scott Steiner at this point, considering what Steiner's had to say about Triple H as of late.
What, call him Hunter McMahon?
I actually would rather be around Triple H. Sounds like a cool dude.
And of
Triple H, panties moist.
And of course, as we said earlier, the World Championship match of Impact, Lashley versus Alberto El Patron, aka Del Rio. Lashley with King Mo, Del Rio with
his dad.
Mm-hmm. So basically, Del Rio is basically the only wrestler sponsored by Cialis.
We're not going to pick winners for this match because none of us has been paying attention to TNA.
May or may not be sponsored by Bellator. We don't know.
He probably still is. He has King Mo with him.
What?
And just remember, around the time of that main event match, you'll be able to watch the $100,000 Pyramid live on ABC at 10 p.m.
Yes, you will.
None of us, we're not going to pick winners or losers, since none of us have watched TNA enough to give this any credit.
No. I can pick winners and losers right now. You know who the losers are going to be?
The fans.
The people that actually fucking watch this bullshit.
The people who pay for that shit.
And the winners are going to be the people that actually download it from a torrent site.
No, because they still have to watch it.
Still going to watch the matches.
Well, by the way, if you guys have a suicide wish and still want to watch this fucking train wreck, you can get the show free around maybe like 11, 12 a.m. from extremewrestlingtorrents.net.
So now we're promoting illegal wrestling torrents. That's nice.
Great.
Or maybe if you get lucky and you want to watch it live, you can watch it on First Row Sports.
Oh. Apparently, I'm still on the air, so we haven't been kicked off of Twitch yet.
Yes, you can also edit this too. So unfortunately, these things are only permanent for 20 days. So
hey, I can delete the video as soon as I finish sending it over.
This is also true. This episode never existed. It's all an illusion.
You're a towel.
You know what else is an illusion? Alberto's dick.
Alberto's dick?
I was about to say Slammiversary 16, but should we talk about what else happened on Monday Night Raw?
Please.
So we did get a confrontation between Scott Steiner and Samoa Joe.
Scott Steiner.
Brock Lesnar.
I'm sorry. I still have the Slammiversary card up. My brain's still fried. There we go.
Someone actually semi-worth a damn, as opposed to somebody who's actually wrestling but isn't worth a damn.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but did you guys hear that Del Rio did this interview where he's like, my match with Lashley is going to be better than Steiner, and my match with Lashley is going to be better than fucking Lesnar and Joe?
No, but we all need to laugh.
Yeah, he basically did this huge interview. He goes, Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar is going to suck because they're going to be limited by the WWE, while me and Lashley are going to be able to showcase our talent entirely in front of all 6 people who are going to be at the arena to watch that show. And 5 of them are...
And it's really funny you mentioned that, because apparently, I mean, obviously, Joe and Lesnar were going to get over. I mean, obviously, the audience, the people watching are already over. They're on it. They love it. They want to see Joe beat the crap out of Lesnar. I don't even think they care. I don't even think they care if he wins. They think it's they think it's a good idea.
Hell, even management supposedly loves Joe Lesnar.
That's what I was going to say. The back likes him, which is even more important. So that could possibly mean, because there were apparently some rumored changes going on for the next 6 months
the big rumor I heard,
Lesnar to lose the title.
The big rumor I heard is that it might be either Reigns or Joe versus freaking Reigns or Joe or Lesnar versus Reigns at SummerSlam.
Because let me tell you guys something. Let me fucking say something right here, right now. The entire time Lesnar has been back, even in his feud with Triple H, when have you ever seen Brock this vulnerable?
The closest was is the Goldberg feud, but other than
that segment on fucking Raw, oh my god. Lesnar's facials, the way he was reacting to fucking going down to the fucking coquina clutch, I fucking popped. That was amazing. He made Joe look like $1 million.
Like he fought everything he could, but he couldn't quite escape, and was literally going down to the point where we had to say, even the most stuck-up critics had to go, I think Joe can actually beat him. And even Heyman added on after that and said, yeah, after what I've seen, if Joe locks on the Kakia clutch, I have an ex-world champion on my hands. So that's how you build up someone that can face Lesnar essentially that's how you build up a super beast.
Yeah. We would normally say monster heel, but in this case, Lesnar's the heel. So,
well, there's not exactly a face, just 2 monsters going grrr.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is this: everyone knew that Brock and Goldberg, that was just for show. That was to give, Goldberg his final run, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Right here is just a big, it's a fucking, it has that big time fight feel.
Yeah.
It's like you can get over the stupid name of the fucking pay-per-view because you really want to see Joe and Lesnar go at it.
Yeah. What you mean a main event that's actually credible at a pay-per-view?
No, really?
Well, dude, at a throwaway pay-per-view on top of that.
I know.
And a throwaway pay-per-view on top of that.
Now I just wish this was the SummerSlam main event.
Imagine if they had actually booked this correctly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's fucking... Oh, man.
I'm gonna be fair. I guess they didn't realize what they had on their hands until it was, well, to paraphrase the pay-per-view, burning.
Yeah.
Now they realize, oh crap, we had this feud. We could have saved this for, like, SummerSlam or Survivor Series.
Yeah, and the name of the pay-per-view is what you get if you lay down with Paige.
Yeah, I'm about to say, want to talk about burning? That's Alberto's dick. Just having sex with Paige.
Oh, God. And we did have a tease. It was a small tease to the point where even I actually fell for it for a second. Of Enzo and Cass getting back together. Once again...
This has been so awesomely... Whoever's writing this Cass fucking Enzo feud, kudos to you, man. Holy shit, that was an amazing segment.
Like I said, I started to fall for a fact after a while that, okay, maybe they're ending this early. Okay. And then Cass clotheslining Enzo and then tossing him to the bottom of the ramp. You honestly thought that this was it. Like, okay, Enzo realized the error of his ways. Cass is apologizing. Brothers do fight. Like, whoever's writing this feud, give them a promotion.
Yeah, kudos to you. And you know what's funny? We usually go on and on about how much Raw pay-per-views suck. Yeah. Looking at the fucking card to Great Balls of Fire, I'm looking forward to this show.
Well, we usually say how much Raw sucks as a whole, but this is actually...
But I mean, I'm really looking forward to this show. Fucking Seth and Bray Wyatt are going to tear the fucking house down.
We have Seth and Bray Wyatt. We have Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. We have Lesnar and Joe.
By the way, it seems like that's the new target for these fucking marks. They're all turning on fucking Sasha Banks now.
Well, they've been turned on Sasha Banks, so... Yeah, plus Alexa Bliss is the Mark Queen, so no one could touch almighty Alexa.
Alexa Bliss. And I like Alexa. Don't get me wrong. Alexa.
We're not saying anything bad about Alexa. We're just talking about our friends SJ.
Our friends at the internet wrestling community.
I'm about to say our IWC Bob friends. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I will say this though, that gauntlet match with the women on Monday night. If you don't think Nia Jax deserves her fucking spot on the fucking main roster now, I don't know what the fuck else that girl has to do. That was a fucking breakout performance on Monday, even in a fucking losing effort.
She went through the entire roster, save one woman, and it barely took. And the one woman had to barely got over.
Got lucky.
I'm like, if you can't tell me she hasn't been built as the next monster of the Raw's women division, I don't know what she has to do other than pull out a shotgun.
Apparently get over with the writers.
Because, I mean, it was fucking... I was so impressed with that match.
You know, if Nia would have just hit the big boot and leg drop, that would have been completely different.
Over, brother. It'd have been over, brother. Over. I was hanging and banging in the back.
With the Ball family,
by the way, as a reminder, RD actually put up the Butcher Hogan match from Starrcade '94 up on WrestleCraft.
Use that as a I was going to use that as a recommendation.
More like I should just put it on the riffing list, shouldn't I? Or I think it's there already. I have to check it later. What else?
Brother Booty versus Hulk Hogan at fucking Starrcade.
So SmackDown decides to dust off one of the more interesting matches. The return after, 10 years of the Punjabi Prison match.
Which I'm sure which by the way is really funny because about 3 or 4 years ago, no, maybe 5 years ago, Kayfabe News put up an article about how WWE wanted to find a new Indian guy just so they could use the Punjabi Prison match again because it cost so much to use for the 2 shitty matches that they had with it.
But you know what's funny that you mentioned that? For those of us who are in the wrestling figure collectibles market, shut up, I'm 35. I still collect wrestling figures, eat a dick. The Jack's Punjabi Prison set is one of the hardest sets to find, believe it or not.
Really?
Well, how many runs did it have?
Because it was literally, there was a regular Punjabi Prison set that was like a little cheap piece of shit. Then they actually made a Punjabi Prison for the real scale ring. And you remember how big the real scale ring was, Ty? That big ring that I had?
Yeah, because you had one.
Yeah, exactly. They actually made a Punjabi Prison set for that as well. And those sets are hard as fuck to find now. Just a little bit of wrestling collector FYI stuff.
Can you imagine? But that's another thing. Can you imagine? I mean, the other 2 matches sucked because both times there's big men doing those matches.
I'm about to say,
now
that's the advantage this one has because nothing against the Great Khali or Undertaker, but those matches weren't made for them.
No, everything against the Great Khali. Khali was not a good wrestler, but I think Jinder and Orton will actually do something with this. I think they'll do.
Surprised Khali actually got a mention on TV.
Well, he is.
This isn't even television.
Khali was a better world champion than The Miz.
Damn, dude.
Well, again, I use my example of herpes as better than a world champion did. but
Touché.
But you know,
photo music when he mentioned herpes, Ty.
Well, I mean, it's like, what would you rather do? Get your nuts bit off by a Laplander or watch The Miz as world champion? Well, you know, sorry, I got to go get castrated. But, you know, but Khali, honestly, was not the best wrestler in the world.
Oh,
he wasn't even necessarily a good wrestler. I mean, he's not fucking Raja Lion, but he's not necessarily. He wasn't the best representative for the world title. I know why he had it. I know why it was there. I think Jinder's a much better representative for the Punjabi Prison. And I think. Go ahead.
Remember, the Great Khali has a wrestling school now.
Yeah, probably funded by Raja Lion. Anyway.
Anyway,
this is called How to Piss Baba Off.
Step
That's
one.
stupid theme music of the Khali.
Which one? 5 Rivers or his other? Or his
No, the one he used when he fucking was that Punjabi Playboy.
Yeah, 5 Rivers.
Whatever the fuck it is.
When they first brought him in, I never seen a heel book better by them in a long time. Him coming in and fucking squashing Taker the way he did and beating everybody, then God knows what that guy did to piss off someone in the office, that they had him dropping the fucking Rey Mysterio. Okay,
no, I don't think that was pissing off somebody in the office. I get the feeling that was creative being dumb.
Remember when? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Because remember, they did the same thing to Strowman.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm just saying though, it's like, why would you take? First off, who looks at a guy at Khali and says, "God damn, I want to see that guy work a Flair Steamboat Classic"? You understand what I'm saying? He's a giant.
Right.
No one wants to see this guy trade holds with someone. No one wants to see a giant in a hardcore match. The fact that they put him in ECW and had him in the feud with Tommy Dreamer was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in ECW.
Yeah, he had a feud with Tommy Dreamer, where in every match he basically would eat everything that Dreamer hit him with, then hit him with the chop, and that was it.
That's probably why I forgot. It just deleted from my brain.
For 3 months.
Watch December to Dismember. They'll come back.
Yeah.
I don't. I think... who is the worst...
Remember Heyman's promo at December to Dismember?
What, you mean his apology just before the main event?
No. Where he was like, the Big Show is the future of the business. And you hear some guy scream, he's leaving in 2 months.
Yep.
We have a question from the audience. Well, this is actually a group question, so everybody can give their opinion here.
Yeah, all two of you have a question for us.
Who is the worst wrestler?
Randy Orton.
No, he's just the most. I think he's just the most boring. Bland. He's just bland. Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler I've personally ever seen.
I'm thinking Paul Roma, but that's just worst horse.
No. Paul Roma's just bland also. Paul Roma's just bland also.
Paul Roma does jobs on Facebook.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Paul Roma doing jobs on Facebook.
What are you about to say, Lou?
Page.
I'm trying to build Roma up and put him over, and you just keep reminding him and Herc were a great tag team. The Powerplex was an awesome finish. Fuck you guys.
Yes, no. I agree. Paul Roma definitely deserves more than just jobs on Facebook. He was on a good tag team. I mean, the last time I saw him, of course, was Power and Glory, but no, Paul Roma's certainly far from being the worst wrestler.
No, when it honestly comes to the worst wrestler I've ever seen get into a ring, Ted Arcidi.
Oh,
he didn't get it. For those of you who don't know who he is, he was this guy. He was one of those world's strongest man types. He was supposed to be a face, and he worked like a heel.
You mean like Hogan?
No, but here's the thing, though. At least you like watching Hogan.
Yes.
Arcidi was just fucking... He was sloppy. He hurt people. He just all around sucked.
Here is a Ted Arcidi match. Ted Arcidi stands in the middle of the ring. Bell rings. Opponent runs at him through all four corners of the ring. And then on the fourth run in, fucking Ted Arcidi grabs him, puts him in a bear hug, and crushes him, and that's it.
Either the bear hug or the body breaker. He would switch it up. The body breaker was Ventura's over the shoulder finish for you young ones that don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think someone that's just as bad or worse than Arcidi.
Every single mark that puts a trampoline in their fucking backyard and puts garden hoses around it.
I'm speaking about a non-jobber professional, John.
So somebody that claims to be a professional that has been in an actual wrestling ring. Actually, Rajah Lion is pretty close.
Hey, how about your friend, Will?
Which one?
Whatever, the Bruce Poe bands.
They won't mention him on the podcast anymore.
Actually, whoa! You know what? I just thought of the worst wrestler I've ever seen.
What's that?
Nature Boy Paul Lee.
Oh my God! Can we talk about this guy for a little bit?
Go ahead.
Go right ahead.
He buys Ric Flair figures.
Oh no!
Puts them in custom cardboard packaging. And puts like saran wrap over them and signs them and sells them for like $50 at fucking shows.
Because I would have said One Warrior Nation, but at least the Warrior gave him a seal of approval somehow.
John, when I go to a wrestling show, do I ever leave my seat other to go take a crap or whatever the case may be?
No, because I've been with you to wrestling shows, Lou. No.
When One Warrior Nation, whenever he worked in Rawway, I'd leave. I'd talk to the boys. I'd go hang out in the back. There was a reason for that.
And you know something? Who's the one that always says you have to invest in your character and invest in yourself? This fucking guy, this One Warrior Nation guy comes to the ring with a white world heavyweight replica where the fucking plates are falling off the damn belt. And the worst part is he actually takes Warriors 8x10s and signs them as himself.
Will, I'm going to give you a homework assignment.
Oh, no.
Look up a One Warrior Nation match on YouTube.
So
You're probably going to for a couple days.
One Warrior Nation versus Diamond Troy Justice, 2009.
There you go, bud. Enjoy.
Warrior Nation. Oh, no. He didn't. He didn't. He didn't. And oh, fuck. He's got a fucking YouTube channel.
Yes, he does.
With an LLC attached to it.
Yes, sir.
You mean there's actually a company behind this?
No, it's just a YouTube channel, but holy fuck, this was put up over almost 10 years ago. He's facing somebody that's actually worthwhile, even though he's doing a gimmick. He's facing fucking Jay Lethal.
Well, to be fair, of Jay Lethal facing him then was like Sylvester Stallone doing that porno movie. You know, Jay Lethal was starving. He needed a job. Probably.
This wasn't the Jay Lethal that ruled ROH with an iron fist until recently.
Congratulations. No, this is Black Machismo.
Yeah, congratulations, Cody Rhodes, for winning the ROH championship. By the way,
your daddy.
I'll see you. I'll see you at that dive in Baldwin Park.
And there's another wrestler that I just thought of. I don't know if any of you guys know who he is. There's a fucking worker by the name of Stone Cold E.T.
Oh, God.
Wait, what?
There's a worker by the name of Stone Cold E.T. He wears an Austin vest and jeans and puts on an E.T. mask. There's also matches of his on YouTube.
This isn't Jim Hellwig, is it?
No, it's not.
The Renegade could put on better matches than One Warrior Nation.
May he rest in
Currently.
And he's dead.
One Warrior Nation.
And then there's the ultimate, no pun intended, the ultimate bad wrestler. He goes by the name of Grimm.
Oh, that fat sack of shit, Grimm.
And he barely makes the cut because he's quote unquote worked on a bunch of indie shows.
But will anyone hire him?
Yeah. He basically gets fucking promoters to hire him by claiming, "Oh, I'm going to film it for my YouTube channel. You'll get exposure."
Wasn't there another wrestler that did that once?
He's a fat wrestling figure collector. And he just basically, since he's friends with a couple of the boys, because he gives them little plastic toys of them, they book him on shows.
Is he worse than Green Lantern guy?
Fuck Green Lantern fan. He's fucking this guy actually had a match. Fucking Grimm actually recently had a match with Kali.
With who?
With the Great Kali.
Oh, wow, brother. Somebody that was actually worse than the Great Kali. Okay.
I'm about to say, you actually felt sorry for Kali.
Yeah.
So, going on to the next topic, John actually did some investigative reporting this week and brought about an interesting question, which we'll probably talk about for the rest of the show on.
Before we get to that, who the fuck is this guy anyway? This more roided out than Hellwig was.
Okay, One Warrior Nation was basically a buddy of Warriors who would do stand-ins for him. Like when Warrior can go somewhere, he would send this guy instead. Dude, this guy, he's a fucking piece of work. If you've seen him before the fucking shows, he shows up in fucking WBF tank tops.
Oh, God.
He fucking wearing fucking Warrior merch. Like, he sells fucking 8x10s of Warrior and like the Warrior comic and fucking signs it for people and sells it.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
It's fucking. He's a clusterfuck.
Like he's living solely off the Warrior name alone?
Yeah.
And he hasn't been sued by the family? Well, I think he has been. I think he has. I think something got him.
He had Warrior's blessing.
And it's not like Dana's going to take it back anytime soon.
Well, no, considering that it looks like they actually. What the fuck is he wearing? It's this fucked up version of the big gold belt.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's the belt I keep telling you about.
And he's nowhere near as jacked.
Plates are hanging off the damn belt.
Yeah, he's nowhere near as jacked. I mean, he's as wide as he is tall at this point. What the fuck? And it just says FCW, but they're on a fucking soccer field.
I mean, for Christ's sake, Chris Hero weighs less than this guy.
Have you seen Chris Hero lately on NXT?
No.
Well, he's still fat.
And by the way, I'm actually going on a NXT strike until they get rid of Mauro Ranallo.
Yeah, but you won't watch Asuka kill people until she gets blew up to the main roster.
Oh! Speaking of which, before we get to the investigative report, did you guys see the last women's standing match?
I saw clips of it.
I heard it was very good. I got to watch that still.
It was a very good match, but I hated the finish.
That's usually how it goes.
What was the finish?
Superplex off a ladder into the announcer's table. That part I don't mind. Asuka got up, is what I minded. How the hell are you going to follow this up? They're hell bent on putting Ember Moon on putting the belt on Ember Moon. How the fuck are you going to do this? I mean, for crying out loud, she just survived plowing Nikki Cross through a table up about 7 or 8 feet in the air.
I know you can top it.
How?
You can have a brand new women's wrestler called Paulina Levesque.
Oh no!
I mean, it's really Triple H in a wig and a dress. Have him pin Asuka with the pedigree.
The new Santina Morella, huh?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
To be fair, as big as they built Asuka, that's the only way she's going to get her first L.
Oh, God.
And again,
anyway, go on with your investigative reporting.
Well, basically, I recently had the idea to ask people a question on a couple of the wrestling groups on Facebook, because everywhere you go, you see and hear more people that say, well, I used to watch than I still watch now.
Right.
Like, if you wear, like, for example, if I were to wear a Hulk Hogan shirt in public, oh, I remember him. I used to watch wrestling. Most people don't even know Hulk Hogan is actually retired. That's how out of touch a lot of these people are. And by the way, fuck you to this one Pro Wrestling Historical Society on Facebook. You know who you are. Sitting there fucking closing down the thread. Well, what does that have to do with history? It has everything to do with history. We're trying to find out when exactly the business tapered off. You fucking idiot. Go suck a dick. But anyway.
I was about to say, put this episode up on that same board.
But anyway, so I asked people a simple question. If you used to watch, why don't you watch anymore? And when did you stop? And I noticed that a lot of the people stopped watching around 2001 when WCW closed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the number one reason, actually, that fans stopped watching. The territories or WCW closed.
Mm-hmm.
And followed that up with too many promos, the breaking of kayfabe during the Attitude Era.
Oh, it was broken long before that.
not wrestling isn't believable anymore. Wrestling's too cartoonish. Some even said the Benoit tragedy and the Owen tragedy had gave him to stop watching,
which is understandable.
And well, I don't have the post in front of me because my iPad's dead right now. I do remember one of the posts basically said that the Benoit tragedy stopped him from watching because, in his words, once you see that wrestling has a human life cost, it's hard to enjoy it anymore.
That's understandable.
Perfectly understandable.
Once you see the cost associated with putting on that entertainment, you don't want to watch anymore.
Yeah, okay. Cases, yeah.
Another one was sexual innuendo.
Which, let's admit, the Attitude Era did.
Which was the Attitude Era.
In extreme amounts.
It's the Attitude Era.
We're sorry, the Attitude Era.
Yes, that.
But you have to admit... But you have to admit that era of wrestling did go too far with the TNA.
Because one even mentioned the Katie Vick incident as a specific reason why they stopped watching.
God.
Well, that falls under too cartoonish.
And also gave birth to a hand.
Yay! Hand.
Yes, and the hand grew up.
Yeah.
They actually continued the bit.
And he came back from Raw 1000.
That grown-up hand is what actually gets Stacey Cornette off now.
God. You stop. Anyway.
And the final reason, and this is another example that I do remember word for word, is overexposure.
Well, let's think about overexposure for a minute, because that's also a good example. Let's go, Drew. Let's say you're a huge wrestling fan. You want to watch all the wrestling for the week. You have Sunday. You have a 2 to 3 hour pay-per-view at least once a week, either by WWE, by one of these companies. You have let's be generous and give it 3 hours. All right. Actually, let me pull out my calculator. Yeah,
probably 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, that's why I said let's give it a generous balance to say, 3 hours.
Let's say 3. If you're watching New Japan, 6.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So 3 hours of that. Now you have 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. 2 hours of SmackDown.
Would you count Talking Smack?
1 hour of NXT.
1 hour of NXT.
1 hour of 205 Live now.
1 hour of 205 Live. We're
Talking Smack.
Talking Smack and Raw Talk, so that's 2 more hours.
They don't do Raw Talk. It's more Talking Smack.
Okay, so we'll just use the hour. That's already 11 hours of wrestling, and we're not even including 2 hours of Impact, 1 hour of Lucha Underground,
Ring of Honor,
1 hour of Ring of Honor,
and now we got more options through not just television but through the internet. Wrestle Circus had just had a 5-hour pay-per-view for free on Twitch.
And
now other wrestling organizations are starting to get in there.
And don't forget,
not to mention New Japan.
I'm about to say, and don't forget, New Japan has at least an hour, and don't forget, Glow's on what do we call it now, Netflix.
Well, Glow's not wrestling. Glow is a
comedy about wrestling.
It's a dramatic interpretation of what happened. Except Joey Ryan's in it. He slaps the shit out of his wife in that.
What about to say, Lou?
No, Glow is just a TV series now.
Oh, okay. I thought
they're not linking anymore.
Okay, but that's
very good. But when I put it on in the beginning and I didn't see the Glow rap, I said, "Fuck this," and turned it off.
But there's still 15 hours of wrestling in 1 week.
And that's another thing, because that was the exact quote was, anyone, he's like, I stopped watching wrestling because it got too complicated. And that anyone who can watch 20 hours of wrestling in 1 week deserves a medal.
And not just 1 week at one time. They got to do it continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's 1 week. Once Sunday starts, you're doing all over again. Because that's why I said 1 pay-per-view, because WWE has a pay-per-view at least once every other week. And then you have ROH has a pay-per-view every once in a while. Impact has a pay-per-view at least once a month still.
It's a lot of wrestling. I mean, it just is.
You know, you guys and gals that sit there and
we're not even counting the NXT takeovers.
Yeah, takeovers are like what, every 2-3 months?
Yeah,
something like that. I think it's every.
They always follow the major 4 pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's every quarter.
But you know, all you guys and gals that sit there and the fuck is that word? Where you watch binge watch Netflix like a season of a show and think that's a lot of work. Imagine having to do that every single week.
And I do not envy Brian Zane deciding to do the who wore it better thing, the Raw versus SmackDown thing, because you have to watch at least 5 hours of wrestling just to get through that.
Like, all of us here are wrestling fans, and even we say we can't watch every single minute of Raw and SmackDown.
It's to the
Impact.
You know, it's not that, because let me tell you something. All I really watch is the fucking WWE Network and Buzzer. It's not that. If they had that many hours and it was still entertaining, that's a big part of it too. It's like, boy, it's 15 hours of this shit. You're lucky to get 2 or 3 good matches out of fucking Raw.
I remember, we're talking about 15 hours between 5 different companies. So that's just not WWE's problem. It's the wrestling industry as a whole.
Right.
No, exactly.
I say it's gotten to the point where I don't even watch the full shows anymore. I just watch the clips on YouTube.
I think I was listening to Voldemort's podcast, and his co-host actually had a point. Like, one of the problems WWE has is they make clips for YouTube instead of focusing on a full-length 3-hour show.
Except that falls under Voldemort's MO. He would like that.
No, he hates that. He pretty much.
But that's his MO. That's his MO. ADD motherfucking bullshit.
But anyway,
by the way,
the other thing I wanted to touch on, and I know John pretty much has more of his investigation, was the first.
No, that's pretty much it.
I'm gonna say the first point.
I'm sorry. But speaking of Voldemort, there's something I need to say about that.
Okay.
Sort of an announcement.
You found
Jim Cornette is actually selling replicas of the restraining order that Vince Russo sent to him for $8 a piece and autographed. And it's $2 shipping, so $10. It gets you a 9-page replica of the restraining order from Vince Russo, signed by Jim Cornette, personalized any way you want it. And me and Louis just got a couple copies of our own.
Just so you know, by replica we actually mean photocopy. But
yes.
You know, don't dress it up for any more than what it really is. But
and it goes to the charity too.
To market it as a collectible, we need to say it's a replica. That puts
as long as once you get it, you frame it, you put it nicely, and you sell it on eBay for 20 times the price.
What I was telling John when we ordered it, I'm like, what I want to do? I want to see if I can get the Archbishop of Talonbury to sign it.
Actually, find out. See if he's willing to do it.
I want to see if I can get Russo to sign it too.
Yo, bro, you really spent money on this, bro? What the fuck's the matter with you, bro?
Let me see. I know I have Vince Russo's Twitter address. I can at least give that to you.
Well, everybody knows where he is, but fuck.
But the other thing I wanted to point out was you said a lot of these fans left when pretty much the end of the wrestling war, when WWE won. One of the things I remembered when I read that was, one, let's remember, not every single fan, a good portion of the fans hated the WWE more cartoon. Ugh.
Yep.
Burp. Hated the WWE cartoonish product. Let's not forget Black Friday, when WWE was on Turner Television for one day, and the fans pretty much drew a riot.
was a lot longer than 1 day, but yeah.
Well, you know what I mean, in general. But the other thing I want to say is, and going back to our friends at Impact Wrestling, imagine how different the wrestling industry would have been if TNA succeeded in being the successor of WCW like it was originally envisioned.
Well, they would have had to fire Russo immediately.
Well, okay, let's say they did
they
that.
They would have never let him in the first place.
They fired Russo. Deep South never fucked them over, so there's no Dixie Carter. And Jeff Jarrett actually didn't get an ego, make himself world champion every 30 seconds. The whole goal is to become the replacement of WCW, and they succeeded. What kind of wrestling world will we be in today?
And you know what the sad part is? That could have actually happened around 2006, 2007.
Yeah, it could have.
Impact was way better in WWE.
John.
I'm here.
Yeah, I know. We can hear the television.
Not super difficult by any means. So there's
Yeah.
It's going over Lou.
But yeah, 2006, 2007, that probably should have been the time they overtook WWE. Or at least showed that, yes, we're a legitimate competition. Try to remember what happened, though.
Well, other than Russo and maybe a couple of other things, I mean, they had something going, man. They really had something going.
Hell, some of the biggest stars WWE has now was working for TNA at the time.
Yeah, you had Joe Kurt Angle feud.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, you have to turn down the TV.
John.
What?
Turn down your TV.
What the freaking thing?
Huh?
Turn down your TV. You can. It's going over the whole show. And that really will get me kicked off Twitch.
Or at least take us off a speaker.
Yeah.
Sorry to listeners.
Anyway.
Go ahead, Lou.
Once again, they had all the big stars that WWE has now was part of TNA at the time. They had Joe, they had Angle, they had Styles, they had Bobby Roode. They had
a ton of people, man.
Yeah.
I will never forget, what was the team that Daniels had with Elix Skipper? I forget what they were called.
The Primetime Players?
Primetime Players, Triple X, yeah, shit.
You have to
what was I thinking of Primetime Players?
Yeah, Triple X. The Primetime Players are another team that Titus and Young. But yeah,
because it's Primetime Elix Skipper.
Yeah, you have the real LAX as Homicide and Hernandez. And it's nothing against the two wrestlers that's currently LAX, but when I think LAX, I think of Homicide Hernandez. What else? Once again, you had Eric Young, who was coming to his own. I think they even had
they had the entirety of Team Canada at that point in time with Scott D'Amore.
Yeah, Scott D'Amore, Team Canada, P.D. Williams. Was Jay Lethal there yet as well?
I think Jay had just signed with them around that time.
Yeah, Lethal. You had Austin Creed, Xavier Woods now.
Austin Aries. Or was he there later?
Nah, he got there around that time.
Was Kazarian back yet?
Yes.
Yeah, Kazarian
was there.
You had Michael Bentley there as well, Michael Shane.
At that time, they had a loaded roster. But it's a classic saying, you can have the greatest weapons in the world, it doesn't matter if you don't know how to use them, and they had no idea how to use them.
and even with that loaded roster, they had to put Jeff Jarrett over on everybody.
Well, that's why I said the other thing
that
was
problem.
Jeff Jarrett also had to check his ego at the door.
Let's also forget they also had the problem that WCW had. They always depended on people they had brought over from WWE.
Well, no, that wasn't until later.
That wasn't mostly.
They had Hall and Nash, and they had the thing with Randy Savage, which also got fucked up because of Jeff Jarrett. But
Whoa!
what?
Apparently, Hogan went to see him in the back, brother.
I've got some breaking news for you guys.
What's
Uh-oh.
that?
Of course, you remember Carlo that used to work over at freaking GameStop and fucking Gameland a little bit on Broad Street?
Yeah.
The short little Spanish kid?
Yeah.
You know who his family members are, right?
Remind the peanut gallery.
Carlito, Epico, and Primo are cousins of his.
Okay.
Apparently, Epico and Primo just asked for their releases.
Oh,
Really?
shit.
Wait. What?
Apparently, Epico and Primo just asked to be released of their contracts.
Why?
What are they doing now? Other than
Why
jobbing.
would they not? Honestly, why would they not? They just shed themselves of the Matador thing, and they just shed themselves of the fucking
Shining Stars.
the fucking travel agents, heel travel agents gimmick.
Yeah.
And yet they're still being used in the same capacity that they were as a fucking joke. I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. They've already made them tag champions. They've done not a damn thing with them in years.
When was the last time they were tag champs?
About 2004,
12?
5? 12, actually?
I think tag champs.
So 5 years
Kind of
ago.
ways.
But since then, they've been booked as jokes. Now, at
They
one
have
time, they had to
been, and that
remind the
sucks.
audience that, yes, we were former tag team champions.
Well, just like the fact that you hear them going, the question you have to ask is, where do they go?
TNA, sorry,
Like,
Impact,
well, fuck this,
ROH.
we're going to New Japan.
I was about to say New Japan. They could join their cousin Carlito in Puerto Rico.
Fuck TNA. They're gonna go back home.
Yeah. They'll be they're way over in Puerto Rico. Shit.
Shit, man.
The Colognes are like God in terms of wrestling in Puerto Rico.
I go back.
That's what happens when. That's what happens when the family hasn't jobbed in 4 decades.
Pretty much.
So it's like the Von Erichs. No, I'm just kidding.
So
No. The Von
Well, that's
Erichs,
not
at least
true. That's
least
not necessarily true.
At least the Von Erichs could put one foot in front of the other, except for one of them.
There you go.
Hey,
Let's say that the Von Erichs did the job to those guns they had in the house.
Evil, man, evil.
that was uncalled for.
It's starting to make the circulations on the interwebs now. The
ugh.
Epic will ask for their release.
I mean, Kerry put over that.
But for once,
Kerry put over his father's pistol really well.
But for once, you actually heard it here first.
Let's see here.
But yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, what are the other things? Too cartoonish, which that's been WWE style forever.
Yeah, well, I mean that's something. I mean, Cornette even talked about this in Guest Booker at one point, where he would talk about, wow, that was some interesting physics camera derp there. He talked about that in Guest Booker, where it was too cartoony. It wasn't the real wrestling. It was this cartoony bullshit. And WCW, even when it got to the position that it was still the last bastion of what the National Wrestling Alliance was, because you still had Ric Flair show up there. Sting, despite being on the late part of the NWA, was a big deal. Arn Anderson was still there. There were good people in there like Malenko and Benoit and Eddie Guerrero that were a part of this at the same time. And then, a lot of people left to go somewhere else because of the absolute crazy mismanagement that had gone on at WCW over various points in time. You could look at 1989 with the Jim Herd era. You could look when Russo jumped ship in 1999 to go over to WCW, make a whole lot more money, and then fuck up the shows completely. You could look at Jarrett's rise to world title status. You could look at the David Arquette problem. You could look at
hell. You could look at the NWO overexposure.
The NWO, overexposure, and how much money Kevin Nash gets, from his contract. I mean, shit, he's got money upon money on money upon money. When people give him shit, he goes, "I just got a royalty check for $50,000."
I think they're still paying him to this day.
That's probably on the low side.
What happened?
By the way, Kevin Nash loves to sit there and pat himself on the back. You know who really started, because according to Bruce Pritchard, you know who really started those guaranteed contracts? The WBF guys. So if it wasn't for the WBF guys getting guaranteed deals, the fucking wrestlers wouldn't have them either.
Well, that's the upside for the field. I'm trying to say something. That's a benefit for another failed Vince McMahon project. There we go.
One I'm sure Vince McMahon didn't want to deal with.
I thought he loved it. I thought he would have loved the WBF.
No, the guaranteed contracts.
Oh, that, yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with that.
And of course, it's not that hard to think about the Owen tragedy or the Benoit tragedy and go.
Yeah, but that wasn't WCW.
No, I'm talking about the rest of the list of John going over. The Benoit tragedy, the Owen tragedy. Yeah, that would get people to stop watching Cold Turkey because Owen,
crazy too. Just a couple days ago was the 10-year anniversary of the fucking Benoit tragedy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
June 24th.
Because just as John said, when you hear what happened with the Benoit family, or if you actually sat down and saw what happened to Owen Hart on live pay-per-view, on live closed-circuit television, that makes you realize, oh my God, and what these men go through. And sometimes that's just enough to say, I'm done. This is too much, even for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the illusion gets broken.
Well, kayfabe's been broken for years, but yeah, once as John just said, once the illusion's gone, though in the Owen and Benoit thing, that was like a super shock to the system. But once the illusion's gone, sometimes you just don't want to watch anymore.
Yeah, and with something like a Benoit or an Owen Hart, will do that. But kayfabe's been gone since.
Yeah, that's been gone.
Officially, kayfabe was gone since Vince got on stand and said, "Look, this is what happens."
This is fake. Yeah, I was just about to say that's been gone since the that's the early '90s because Vince didn't want to pay the athletic commissions anymore.
Nope.
Which makes Lanny Poffo real happy. Oh, he hates state athletic commissions.
Well, some states still have the wrestlers going to state athletic commissions. What else? And I think that was your whole list, right?
Let me double check. Well, we covered kayfabe broke. Did we cover too many promos?
No, but that would be more of the Russo era level of booking.
That's now.
That's now too. Although it's not as
horrid. It's not as bad, but yeah, they do have a bunch of promos nowadays.
They have cut down on the promos, but I think there are people there that have promos that are too long. Enzo comes to mind. And they like to come up with bits, and that's the promo isn't the problem. I think it's the bit that's the problem. I would say the most disastrous bit that happened within most recent was probably this Monday. And then
I was about to say that was just the whole Ball family segment was just. Well, the other thing is long promos is if it's good, you don't realize that much time passed. If it's
Right.
bad, 1 minute can seem like an hour.
And
Right.
the sad part is that they only did it to pop the arena and not for the nationwide audience.
Right. And
Well, the nation do know who the Ball family was. LeVar Ball has a loudmouth, but
If
And
they were
then-
in the Staples Center, they wouldn't have been booked.
if they were in the
No.
Staples Center, they would have been booed out the building.
yes. Now, the only other thing that I could think of would be, again, This Is Your Life Bailey edition. And that got over, like a
fart
heap
in
of
church.
garbage. So, I it's not so much necessarily people talking. It's how it's done and how it's portrayed. And whenever I say never trust creative, it's not just how the wrestlers are portrayed in simulated conflict. It's the interaction amongst each other too. I mean, I don't necessarily mind the backstage segments, and I don't necessarily mind, some of the people talking in the ring. But there are times where you just look and you go, "What the fuck? This is way too long." There's a difference between "This Is Your Life" by Alexa Bliss and "This Is Me Being a Fucking Champion and I'm Showing Off" by Alexa Bliss. The latter was brilliant.
I was actually about to say there's a difference between "This Is Your Life" Bailey and "This Is Your Life" Mankind, The Rock.
The Rock, yeah. Well, that's because Mankind is also entertaining in other ways as well.
But that's the trick. It was entertaining. It was almost the same length. I'm not exactly sitting down watching both segments right now, but
but also there is a chemistry between
The Rock
Mick
and Mankind
and The Rock, and that chemistry was to see how much The Rock was willing to take from Mick's niceness. I mean, that was the thing that really got over. Neither Bailey nor Alexa really have that, because remember, Mick and The Rock were not really heel babyface in the traditional sense. They were just a tag team that had really kind of been put together, and they were kind of and The Rock was just annoyed with it.
And The Rock's eyes, they were essentially frenemies, but
exactly. But Bailey and Alexa Bliss were actually competing against one another, and I think that was the problem that the people had writing the people writing this, and I do say writing because there's no way this would have been booked, because when you put over a bit like that, we hadn't seen a bit like that in a while, and that's fine. If done right, I don't think it would have been a big deal. The problem was it went over like a sack of farts, and it just
sack of farts. Jeez.
It didn't work. And then, continuing on that where they tried to turn Bailey into Tommy Dreamer, and I'm sitting here going, that's not the problem. She's already over. All you're doing is burying her. And that could be a whole other complaint for a whole other show, but that's really the issue with the promo. I don't think it's necessarily the promo itself. If the person can do it right, go for it. And let him go. Let him entertain the audience. AJ's a hand on the mic these days. He can talk. We all seen what Cena can do. We've all seen what we're seeing what Jinder's starting to do on the mic. It's starting to get pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that can talk.
But the question is, will they let them?
Or will they let them talk in a certain way? And if Vince has anything to say about it, if Kevin Dunn has anything to say about it, and if fucking the writers have anything to say about it, that answer is going to be no.
Because there's very few people backstage that can pull what Cena and Bray Wyatt can do, and that's pretty much take a look at the script, laugh, tear it up, and then go outside and say what they actually want to say.
Oh, and
without
without
getting fired in the process, or at least or at least dropping to the Titus brand the next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cena can get away with that. I'm not sure Bray can do it because of.
Bray actually straight up says that's what he does. So.
Oh wow, no, so they're punishing him by putting him in shit matches.
I guess so.
Oh gosh, because there's a lot of shit.
But yeah, Bray's been saying he's been doing that for years, ever since he started the Bray Wyatt gimmick. They hand me a piece of paper. I set it on fire. Then I go out there and say what needs to be said.
Jeez. Well, it's good to know that Bray still has some common sense. I think he has a lot more common sense than some of the people that are out there, especially the marks.
We still need to do an episode just making fun of SJW Bobs, but anyway.
Anyway, so we talk about too much promo. What else we got? Because we talked about WCW. We talked about
tragic deaths. We talked about
tragic
deaths. Let's see here. The territory's closing. WCW closing.
Yeah,
that's similar.
That's pretty much the same thing.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So now Reed did talk about the John Cena era, but this means that all these fans left before the John Cena era even started.
But that's another thing now. Nobody mentioned Cena by name. They just grouped everybody.
Are you talking about everybody in the Ruthless Aggression and Beyond era, or
everybody past Ruthless Aggression?
Nobody mentions anybody by name. To them, they're all the same.
That makes sense. I'll give it that. I mean,
so nobody really stands out.
That's part of the problem with WWE today. There's not really many guys. You're like, oh, okay, this guy's. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, that could go back to the problem of the writers, because when you have to say back then, of course, we all know the bookers say you have 10 minutes, you have a fight, you have a match against Hogan at WrestleMania, you have 10 minutes to get it over, go, and then the guys have to pull it out from their, and say say what comes to their mind. Now you're going to say X, Y, and Z. Unless you're a Cena or Wyatt or someone with enough pull or power, you're going to say X, Y, and Z, this, and that, as essentially the same. Well, who's this?
And the worst part is that they want these fucking people to learn scripts. It's like they're wrestlers; they're not actors.
But that's the problem. It's not that they're different wrestlers; it's the same script writers, right? The same scripts for the same wrestlers.
Let me ask a question, Lou. You went to wrestling school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was one of the classes to teach you how to read a fucking script?
No.
Exactly.
You have to learn how to work first.
Exactly.
You have to learn how to work first.
You mean you actually had to learn this thing called a headlock? No.
Well, just ask Randy Orton. He's mastered it.
Yeah.
That's the only fucking move he knows.
But you see the point I'm getting at. You had each individual wrestler that, if I ask Hulk Hogan, Jake Roberts, Randy Savage, and let's say the Great Moolah to cut a promo on, let's say, Lou, you're going to get 4 different promos. If I ask Will to write a promo for Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, if I ask Will, and let's pretend Will isn't a fan, he's just a writer trying to get on.
Let's say I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Exactly,
right.
Thank you very much. And say, write a promo for Hulk Hogan, Jake Roberts, Randy Savage, and Moolah to cut a promo against me. You're going to write something that's very similar instead of having 4 different people cut 4 different promos.
Right. Particularly if I don't know the personalities of each of the individuals.
Yeah.
Now I can actually, I'm going to add to that a little bit. Because you mentioned that it's funny how you said that John mentioned that everybody was grouped together. And that kind of set off something. Despite the fact that John Cena has had so many reigns at that point in time,
it doesn't mean anything.
Well, that doesn't just mean anything. It was at that point in time, if you think about it, that Vince was no longer giving the keys to the kingdom to anybody. He gave the keys to the kingdom to Hogan. He tried to give it to Warrior. It didn't happen. He gave it to Austin. He gave it to The Rock. He gave it to Triple H. But really starting with John Cena onward, really WrestleMania, not even 20, WrestleMania, what, 19, 18, somewhere in there? Because it has to be sometime after 14. Because 14 was Steve Austin. So it's got to be after 19, I would say. Because that's after the NWO came back. And they didn't give the keys back to Hogan. I forget who was world champion at the time.
Triple H, I think.
Triple H? That's right. That's right. 19 was when he went over Booker T. For some bizarre reason.
Da, 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 da.
I know 20 was Benoit and Guerrero. So yeah,
20 Benoit and Guerrero. And then 21 was Cena and Batista. But at that point in time, Vince was no longer willing to give anyone the keys to the kingdom in terms of being the world champion. That was
the most racist ass title match in history. Fucking
Did you come to dry my hands, boy? Did you come to dry my hands, boy? Remember that segment, bro?
Yeah,
But going on what Will was saying earlier, it's possible, and remember, this is just speculation, Vince was afraid of having someone be bigger than him. Like
I think it was it was more than that. I think it was more than that. I think the first thing that really honestly started it was Survivor Series. And the catalyst for that was Alundra Blaze with the belt, with throwing away the world title, the women's world title in the trash. That was the first time he got scared, because not only did one of his talent leave after a while and jump ship, she just still had the title, but a piece of his property was now being considered trash for ratings. And for him, I think he considered it a personal affront at the time.
Plus, it destroyed the women's division for, 5-6 years?
Yeah.
They had no women's champion.
Fast forward about a year or so, I would say. And then we have, about a year to a year and a half or so.
I don't think there was another women's title until like 98.
Exactly. But it's still a long-ass time. But go ahead, Will. I know what you're going to hear.
We have the Bret Hart situation and the lead up to the eventual screw job, the eventual Montreal screw job, which is actually the second one if you look in history.
Yeah,
the
Stepman Ford era.
Who is his own biggest mark? As much as I like Bret Hart as a wrestler, he is his own biggest mark.
Mm-hmm.
And continuing from there, now we start seeing, Stone Cold picking up his ball and going home, which I'm sure Lou will talk about 30 million times over.
But you also have to go back.
By the way, I forgot to mention something that'll piss you off. You know who Leva Bates is, right?
Yeah, Blue Pants.
Yeah, she was Stone Cold Leva Austin the other day.
That must have been cool.
She did 10 stunners on everybody, including Joey Ryan.
I was saying, you can actually go back just a little to the Warrior hold-up.
The Warrior hold-up? Well,
remember, Warrior was set to be the next.
My gods and the stars in the sky tell me that I should get more money.
Yeah, but
you can say that's just the start of it. I know it's not as big as Austin or everything else, but
yeah. Well, I mean, and holdups were not a new thing. Honestly, holdups were not a new thing. I don't think Austin held up the company. I think he just left. He was just like, fine, whatever. Go ahead.
Austin was just a bitch that walked out.
Yeah, he just took off. And so I think a lot of these events have not so much the holdups. Warrior was kind of like, but because, I mean, you had people that did that all the time in the 70s. give me my belt or give me what I want, or I'm gonna hold up the whatever event I'm at.
Like Ric Flair.
Flair. I think Flair did it a couple of times, but I mean,
yeah, 91.
Particularly in the 70s. Shit, look at what happened.
Where Jim Herd basically told him to stick the belt up his ass and keep it.
Well, yeah, realized, oh fuck, we don't have a title anymore.
But you know, this was Jim Herd.
Like,
by the way, did you guys hear the story that Cornette told on his podcast this week about Jim Herd with the wreath of roses?
Oh, are you talking about the dead? Are you talking about the dead flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that story before. Not on the podcast, but I've heard it before. He sent Jim Herd a wreath of red roses, and it just said to Jim, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Herd got confused and put it in front of Jim Ross's door.
Oh boy.
And Ross said, "What the fuck is this?" And he realized, he goes, "Red Roses." He says, "Jim from Jim Cornette." Oh, okay, that's what's going on. He puts it back.
Oh boy.
The whole reason he sent them.
Go ahead, Lou.
The whole reason he sent them was because WCW had a house show in that area, and it was so abysmal. He literally sent him that to let him know, "Hey, buddy, you're done."
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not Rice Reeds. The girl that trains him at work said still thinks that Austin is a hottie. He told her, "You're probably his type. Easily beatable. I have no respect for Austin after what he did to Deborah."
Not only Deborah.
No, not only Deborah.
That's the only reason Austin's a fucking scumbag.
I thought what? Oh, that's right. His wife before Deborah.
I was going to say, was it Tess or whatever the fuck? No, Tess was after Deborah.
Gene Clark.
Gene Clark, yeah.
Lady Blossom.
And I look at Austin the same way I look at Benoit. I choose to talk about his career, not his person, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you don't like his career.
Every year when fucking, to commemorate the Benoit thing, I always put this up. I choose to remember his career, not the last 4 days of his life.
Right.
Well, yeah, we don't like Russ Austin as a career either because he didn't put anyone over.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, only 4 people know what happened at the Benoit house that night, and none of them are able to fucking let us know. So, Austin, on the other hand, beating women and being a piece of shit. You can't deny what Austin's done, but I will give Austin his props for what he did. He helped save the business, but also a lot of the fans that came on during his era are the fans that I can't fucking stand right now. Most of them are the fucking know-it-all smarks that we fucking have to deal with nowadays, who do shit like after Roman's brother died, will tweet him and fucking say, "Man, I wish it was you instead of your fucking brother."
As we said on this very show, some of these people, they think Austin is the true stereotype, is this true mold for how a babyface should be. Now, I have to actually do my own investigation on what fans actually want out of a modern day babyface, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think this is the end of the show.
Yeah, this is pretty much the end because we did go through the whole thing, and
I was just closing up my Switch case because I just downloaded the Zelda DLC.
Oh, it's out now?
Yep.
Yeah, it came up 12 o'clock.
Sweet. I'll be doing that later on.
Yep.
So I guess this is the end of the show, unless anyone has any. This is the end of the show, unless anyone has any final thoughts they want to add. So this was actually a pretty good discussion on what John's investigation, if you will.
And by the way, this is a public service announcement.
Oh God!
Don't let Marks hold the microphones.
Oh yeah. That LeVar Ball segment was a disaster.
Yes, but they weren't marks.
They were marks for themselves.
Technically, they are marks because they're not trained and they're fans.
I don't even think they were fans.
I don't think they were fans. I think they were.
Okay, they're not wrestlers. Let's put it that way.
Okay, let's put it that way. I'm about to say, yeah.
They weren't trained. They weren't trained. They're not employees of the company.
And
they snuck in somehow.
And
they didn't even pay for a ticket.
And in the case of LeVar, he went into business for himself. The second he had a chance.
Oh, of course. Of course. Oh, I do have one other thing to say before we go, and I'll try to make this quick. I'll try to make this quick because I'm going to basically round down an entire card in less than 10 minutes.
All right.
I saw, like I mentioned before, I was a moderator over at Wrestle Circus on Twitch. They just had their first event on Twitch, which you'll love the name for this. It was called Dive Hard with a Vengeance. Yeah. Their tag. Let's see here. Just real quickly. Their tag team championship match was first. It was Roppongi Vice versus the Gorillas of Destiny. I had no idea Haku procreated.
He has a couple kids.
Yeah. And they were tag team champions in this thing. Holy shit, they were good. Gorillas of Destiny were fantastic. Roppongi Vice is an odd thing.
That reminds me of something.
What's that?
One of these days, me and Lou, we have to. Hopefully, you could come to the house too, Ty. One of these days, we have to order one of these Urban Wrestling Federation pay-per-views and do a fucking review on it.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
I can just see it now. I can just see it now. Lou, John, and Ty order Cage of Death 9. Or whatever the fuck. 15. I don't know.
I can picture the title card now. Me with just my bewildered look and Lou and John just smiling on my left and right.
Oh, gosh. So anyway, there's an impromptu match that happens between Scorpio Sky and Brody King. Scorpio Sky got the win. Breakout hit of the match, Mia Yim versus Rachel Ellering. I never thought I would see Precious Paul's face on a female and have it look good.
Get out the Kleenex, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those matches.
And actually, no. It was actually a very good match. Rachel's a hell of a hand. She's on NXT as Rachel Evers. I could totally see her. I could totally see her getting over, particularly using the Ellering name if she wanted to. Sami Callihan and Jessica Havoc versus Adam Cole, baby, and Britt Baker. And I guess they. By the way, they had a headlock spot. That was actually interesting. That I did not like that match too much. Way too many super kicks. Way too many super kicks. Say again?
I'm a really big fan of Sami Callihan. I really love watching him work.
Sami Callihan was good. Sami Callihan was good, but the match was way too spotty for me. Way too spotty. I mean, it was really easy to kind of see how everything was kind of timed. Mostly because everyone was trying to get the audience involved. Cole and Britt Baker were trying to get everybody involved. And it's just like, it's too easy to do.
It's actually John who got me into watching Callahan's work.
Callahan was good. I liked him. He's a good big dude. But I think the overall vibe of the match was just kind of like, eh. Then we go on to what I call the very large clusterfuck of Titles 3 Falls match. Because Joey Ryan held all 3 titles. And he lost all 3 of them in the same match.
He got pinned 3 times?
Yes.
So he pulled the Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 2000.
Yes. One of which was to his wife.
Yeah.
Of course, he had to do the job to his wife, or else he would be sleeping on the couch that night.
And there's our friend John.
There we go. And his wife won the DDT Iron Man Championship.
The DDT
Iron Man Open Metal Heavyweight Championship was won by Laura Claire James. Yes.
And that's a great accessory to wear when she's cooking the dinner.
And there we go.
Oh gosh.
It looks good on an apron.
Will you stop?
Here's something interesting. Bobby Roode did an interview recently, right?
Yeah.
He asked him, if there was any wrestler he would love to face in the ring, dead or alive. Damn, isn't that grim? One of the main reasons I got into this business was I'm a huge fan of Kurt Hennig. God bless him. I just like you even more now, Rude.
I thought he was a fan of Ravishing Rick Rude.
But Tish.
I have like 12 hours of Kurt Hennig footage that I watch all the time. So if there's probably one guy that would I have loved to just met in the ring, it would have been Kurt Hennig. And if you're talking about potential matches I would love to have today, that would possibly be to take the AA at WrestleMania from John Cena.
I wouldn't take the AA. That's bullshit. All it is it's a simple fireman's carry takedown. At least the leg drop was devastating because it was crushing your chest. And who would not go?
Go ahead.
And who wouldn't go down getting kicked in the face?
True.
Well, Yokozuna did it.
Well, that's the whole Hogan the big man thing. They would take the big boot, get dazed to get body slammed, then get the leg drop.
Yeah, but Yoko still kicked out at King of the Ring 93.
And Sid kicked out a leg drop too.
Yeah.
Wasn't supposed to be. Only did that because Papa Shango had to take a piss, but
after Sid wasn't supposed to kick out, Papa Shango was late for his running because he had to take a piss. True story, folks. Hastly Kayfabed.
So anyway,
Sid's WrestleMania appearances. Something happened. First, it was he screwed up the finish because somebody was taking a piss. Then at WrestleMania 13, he shit his pants.
Well, hey.
So number one, number two.
Yeah, number one or number two, really. So anyway, back to this. Joey Ryan would then lose again to Tessa Blanchard for Wrestle Circus's title, and then he would then lose to a guy by the name of Jordan Lennox, last name spelled LEN-X, for some other wrestling thing, whatever, called the Pro Wrestling Revolver Open Scramble Champion. I'm assuming these are all their mid-card titles, other than the Open Metal Heavyweight Championship. Then we have a four-way ladder match. Now we have a four-way. No way this is Money in the Bank ladder match. Mr. 450 versus Desmond Xavier versus Lio Rush versus Shane Strickland. The first two, they're all right. Mr. 450 was all right. You wonder what he's going to do all the time, and yes, he does. Although he does a lot of other stuff too. Desmond Xavier is all right. Lio Rush, oh my gosh. Yes, he flips a whole lot, but he actually made everything mean something. I was impressed with his performance. Shane Strickland, you know how you watch Rich Swann?
Yeah.
And he's he's really over the top. Imagine that, but like smooth. Like the same kind of attitude with the same kind of movement, but smooth, not like I'm gonna do these dance moves kind of things. Strickland would go on to win the they call it a cash in something or other, right? It's Money in the Bank. Now remember when I said something about how I went nuts over Luchasaurus?
Yeah.
Guess who he had to face?
Who?
John Morrison. Actually, they were both really good. I was surprised. I mean, I was surprised by the match. Morrison, obviously, Morrison's great, but Luchasaurus is just a big dude in a lizard mask, and yes, he had a tail. So at one point, everyone called him Lucha Taker and shit like that. And I mean, it was easy to see the parallels between him and Kane, but it was actually a pretty good match. I was impressed with it. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. We can ignore that part because a guy in a singlet with what looks like one of those bathtop things that you see on a toilet sewn to his belly came out, and then he got attacked with what looked like representatives of the IWC. Matt Sydal faced apparently some guy that looked like he was out of Fall Out Boy and even took the name because the guy's name was Zachary Wentz. He even had the hair. Sydal was good. I don't know what happened to him.
Good.
He's got the fucking beard now and shit. But he's still doing what he does best, and he's doing pretty well with it. I was surprised Matt was actually doing a ground game.
He's a really good worker. He can fly and wrestle.
Yeah. He's
really good. It's just the fact that he got himself hooked onto that fake weed.
Yeah.
Dicked over his Titan run.
Yeah.
I'm telling you something. Him and Kofi, that was one of the most athletic tag teams I've ever fucking seen.
Air Boom.
Yeah, Air Boom was a great fucking tag team.
It's one of those. If it wasn't for, it's one of those strange things that like Air Boom probably should have won a lot more tag team titles than they did. But if they were still around, we wouldn't have the New Day. So it's one of those
6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Exactly.
When it comes down to freaking Evan Bourne, Matt Sydal, I just think of the Afro Man song because I got high.
Oh boy. And yes, Reese, I'm trying to get my Switch connected to the net so I could download the Zelda DLC.
Okay, next up was another match for another title that had nothing to do with Wrestle Circus. Michael Elgin versus Myron Reed. Big guy versus small guy. And it was also kind of like teacher versus student. This time the student won, but kind of barely. So Elgin's a good guy. I like Elgin. Myron needs a little work, but he's also young, and I know why they're promoting him, so that makes sense. I now know the name of the luchador who wrestled at the First Bar Wrestling event that I had no clue who the fuck he was.
Okay.
Penta El Cero Miedo, who apparently had a brother named Ray Phoenix.
Ooh.
And they go as the Lucha Brothers, as opposed to Lucha Dragons, where only Kalisto got over. But they were facing a tag. Yeah, yes, but well, Hunico, but you know.
Hunico.
but they were facing off against the tag team known as Red Dragon. Now, I had never heard of them before, but holy shit, they were good, and everybody was talking to me, were like, these guys are good.
Yeah, Red Dragon, they're a great team. Great team. Very physical.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm real happy with that. Last match is for their high title, which they call the Ringmaster Championship. They have a guy there that they've been growing for a while by the name of Sammy Guevara. No idea whether or not he's related to Che. Hopefully not. To get some history in you guys. But he just went up. But he went up against the Ringmaster Champion, Brian Cage. Oh, good match. Real good match. Cage was able to just throw him around and do everything he wanted to do. Great overall thing. Sammy has to go high risk. He have no choice. It's the only way to be able to take out a big guy like that. So everything that he did make sense. And of course, the winner of the match was Shane Strickland because he was going to cash in that night. So, and he pinned Brian Cage. Which means Cage can now go off, do other things if he wants to, and Sammy can now say, hey, look, I was never pinned. I was never, this guy interfered in my match. What the fuck is going on? You can turn that into a feud, and hopefully they do. Overall, I was kind of like, it was a so-so event, but at least people were excited about it. There were almost 8,000 people at once watching the show. Which is really impressive. They're showing the replays on twitch.tv/WrestleCircus, which shows some of their older matches too. One of the things that they showed as part of the intermission was Moose versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. Oh, that was good. Oh, that was good, man.
Yeah, Harry is of a wrestler.
Yeah, Harry can wrestle, and he's wrestling, and he's training around here. Actually, he's training with Josh Barnett every so often.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Because remember, not only did he wrestle, he stopped wrestling for a bit to go into MMA for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's bringing that in there too, and him and Moose were exchanging chops and leg kicks and shit like that. Oh gosh, it was good.
Harry's a good guy. There's never mentioned to him how much he looks like his father. He hates
it. Yeah, he's almost the spitting image of his father, except on a more lithe scale, and without the.
His dad, he hates that being mentioned to him.
Yeah,
I made the mistake of doing that, and he got like really pissy with me. But
all right. Well, thank you for prepping me with that. I'll make sure not to mention his father around him like that.
Yeah, he doesn't like it.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, it's not like juniors.
Yeah, one of the first times I seen him work, and Tim was like, "Oh yeah, here's my cousin Harry," and I was like, "My God!" When I first seen him, I'm like, "This splitting image of your dad." Oh, did he give me the fucking sour face after that?
Oh boy!
I was like, "Brother, you're the splitting image of your father." Oh, and Teddy pulled me aside. Yeah, you really pissed him off. I was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to." Fuck, he's his dad.
Yeah. That happens. So yeah, twitch.tv/WrestleCircus if you want to watch it. Some of it's a little ridiculous. The guy that got beaten up, the guy's name was Jervis Cottonbelly. You got to have some of the joke matches in there and some of the joke characters in there. And again, that clusterfuck of matches, that clusterfuck of people. There was a girl in there by the name of Alley Cat. Although there was a good bit there where everybody decided to overdo the dive, so everyone dove out of the ring and launched themselves into people, and then Alley Cat was the last one to go, and she stopped at the edge of the ring at the edge of the ropes and said, "I'm a big pussy," and then jumps and then goes over the ropes and then does a double axe handle.
What's going on over there?
And I think I put John to sleep. So let's end the show.
So I guess this is a good time to end the show. Thank you for watching, everyone. For fast asleep. Dude, mute your mic when you're jerking off. Oh, boy. I don't think John heard that last joke from Reese, but thanks for watching, everyone. For John, who's probably asleep. For Nick, who probably went to bed. For everybody else. Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.